Catch Wrestling Alliance, where we help you to wrestle better so that together we can keep real wrestling alive. Thank you very much for listening or watching wherever you get your podcasts. So just so you know, we always do we live stream this on Twitch and on YouTube. So if you ever catch us live, you can totally comment, and I'll definitely respond. Right then and there. So, but I want to kind of tell you about something that happened this past actually this past month. It was earlier this month, but finally got around to kind of trying to clip out something that we can kind of talk about. So one thing that was really interesting that happened was UCLA, the university that I teach at, did a special like philosophy seminar. It was like a 3-day thing that it was all about the philosophy of Jiujitsu, and I think it can totally be applicable to catch wrestling, of course, and all kinds of grappling. And I think there's a bunch of other things that that we can talk about in future podcasts too. One of my students sent in a clip about no-gi jujitsu and how things are really changing with regards to people in no-gi and in MMA using much more or many more wrestling techniques, right, to escape and all that. So it's becoming more wrestling oriented, and so some people are even calling it catch wrestling oriented, which of course, I would still consider catch wrestling like its own style. But yes, you are seeing a lot of amateur wrestling techniques being used in no-gi and in MMA, like you're seeing that's so effective. So I would say it's like you're seeing the amateur stuff in MMA and it's working. So you're only going to see that evolution happen more rapidly, I guess, for people who want to be competing and winning, right? Um, so with that being said, earlier in December, UCLA had the Philosophy of Jiu-Jitsu symposium. I attended one talk, one presentation by Dominyka Obelenyte. I know I've totally mispronounced the last name, but yeah, she's a very accomplished jiu-jitsu practitioner. She got her start through Marcelo Garcia's school in New York. She lives here in Los Angeles now. She teaches at Frogtown Jiu-Jitsu here in Los Angeles. She also basically just dominated jiu-jitsu. I think specifically gi stuff. Um, so she was like many time gi champion, but I believe she also won in no-gi as well. But yeah, she's very very accomplished and still doing jiu-jitsu, and she was one of the speakers who were invited to speak on campus for this special jiu-jitsu program. And so her talk was much longer. I'm just gonna give a little clip because I think there's so many interesting things. I wanted to just pick one. Maybe we'll do a podcast about another thing, and or hopefully, I know it's like the holidays, but maybe hopefully, she would be open to coming on the show, or especially since she lives in Los Angeles. So, but I want to pick out at least one thing to talk about. So since I was sitting there, I recorded the audio, and so you'll see this clip that'll show the text, and you should be able to, you'll hear the voice, but you'll also see the text and stuff. So let's kind of listen, and then we can kind of talk about it. It's all about mastery of, say, in her case, jujitsu, or just mastery in general. So you can totally apply this to any art, and for us, totally we can apply it to grappling, catch wrestling, nogi, etc. Okay, here we go. Here's Dominyka.
The illusion of mastery is that there is a finish line at the end of the journey. That you will have contributed enough marbles to the jar of mastery to be called a true master. The truth of the matter is, mastery occurs in the continuity of practice and stops once the practice stops. In that way, mastery is alive and traveling alongside the master. Within the expanse of Jiujitsu, mastery can only occur when elements arrive to disrupt the ease of practice. If we continue along a practice that is identifiable and predictable, there is no mastery to be found. Mastery ceases to exist when challenged.
When challenge disappears. For some reason, the audio kind of cuts off a little bit short in that clip, but hopefully that was able, like, hopefully you got the gist of it, and maybe we'll show it again pretty soon. So let's kind of talk about it. So ultimately, what she's saying is that with regards to your art, someone is practicing, someone is doing the thing, but if you if you're not, or maybe once you stop doing the thing, then of course your skills will go down, you won't be as sharp. And I think sometimes you'll see this like even in a lot of the old martial art films or martial art stories, like kung fu stories, where they talk about some grandmaster and they can always just beat someone no matter what. Like you never see them practicing or anything, but all of a sudden they can always just dominate. And I think what Dominyka's arguing there is that like if you're not really doing the thing, if you're not doing the art, then it's, I guess it won't be as sharp. It won't be totally there kind of when you need it, right? So you always should be, say with regards to wrestling or doing jiu-jitsu and stuff, you always should be, you can always train. I mean, you don't always have to be training at like 100% all the time, going really hard, risking injury and stuff. No, you don't always have to be doing that, but at least kind of doing the art itself, being present there. The other thing that she mentioned was like when there's like no more challenges. So it's like if you're always kind of doing it in a predictable, easy way with no real challenge, nothing, like no new stimulus, etc. Then yeah, like are you really a master, or you've mastered the easy way, right? So but then like are you a real master of the entirety of this art? That's kind of the question there. And she kind of basically makes a statement. She's not even necessarily questioning it. She's saying that mastery is not exactly the amount of time that you've put in, but the continuation of the practice. That's the where the true mastery comes, and it is present during that continuation. And I can totally see that, where it's like, say I was a 2-time national kickboxing champion years ago, and so while I still might be able to do kickboxing or whatever, but I definitely do not think that at this moment I could just jump into a kickboxing tournament and like win, right? So because I don't really practice that so much. I'm really doing like grappling like the vast majority of the time. So then yeah, because of that, I would probably have a better chance winning a jiu-jitsu or catch wrestling match than a kickboxing match, even though in the past I have won like national tournaments. So I think that's part of what she's saying, where it's like if you don't continue, it's like, are you like, that's the mastery has ended, right? So but I think there's many takeaways that you can draw from that. It's like even with regards to health and longevity, it's like you really should be just continuing even for your health, because what we see with research for people who are like who live very long, like long-lived people, right? In these, and actually specifically, it's called like blue zones, whereas like people around, there's like different areas around the Earth where certain populations live to much older on average than the average population, and a lot of them are very active, very healthy, but it's like they continue doing the activities that they love. So if you continue and you never really stop, your body is always going to be able to do the activities. So it's a like a big like this is like the hint to just keep doing it, right? Even if you fall off and you don't do it for a little while, like just pick it up, go back to the jiu-jitsu class and go back to the catch wrestling class or any kind of art you like. And you don't always have to be doing it so hardcore, but it's most important to be doing it overall, right? All right. All right, let's get to some of the questions. Okay, so let's see. Clay J. Bray. I'm curious, why not has okay, so I think are there any catch wrestling tournaments? Yeah, we had one earlier this year. We'll probably just do one um, you know, in the new year. It seems like um ultimately people actually Clay, you seem like you're still on, give me uh like did you enjoy the formats that we had? Because basically the way we do it is we often would do, say, like in England, they would have a 20-minute time limit, but I think they've even kind of dropped it, right? Especially in a tournament format, dropped it down to about 10 minutes. This is what you see a lot, like say, like in the Eddie Bravo Invitationals, where you'll have like a 10-minute match. And in Eddie Bravo's case, he'll do like the EBI overtime. So if no one wins in that time period, then they'll do the overtime, right? Catch wrestling, usually whoever is the most dominant wrestler, then you won't necessarily do an overtime, but it'll be a judge's decision as to who appeared to be the most dominant. So do you like that? Because yeah, it's always good to get everyone's opinion, right? All right, next question. Uh, Tamad Wachimil, Tamade Wachimil. I think that's the way you pronounce it. I think a person who cultivates a good, healthy environment and has a basic understanding and teaching. Yes. Yeah. Ultimately, like, say you can have a good, healthy environment, like internally, like inside your body, right? Trying to eat healthy and exercise. But yeah, a good understanding and has a good teaching methodology. I think that's very, very important. Okay, back to Clay. If you aren't practicing, you are a teacher, not a master. Yeah, yeah. Actually, I think that's a good point because, say, like with regards to Nogi Jiu-Jitsu, since it's so popular, um, I personally don't see anything that's necessarily like new happening, but in my opinion, it's mostly like trends. So if you're an instructor and you're not paying attention to these trends, or you're not competing, or at least paying attention to what's like trendy nowadays. It's like, because it doesn't mean you have to be following the trends and only teaching what's trendy, but at least if you understand what these trends are, you can help your students to identify what they might be like seeing at tournaments when they compete, right? So they'll be aware and they'll be able to react, right, when they see these things in competition. Mhm. Yeah, not very chatty in the chat tonight, but yeah, no, thank you for chatting. I figured I wanted to do something before the end of the year because I know people are real busy and focused on the holidays and stuff. But yeah, ultimately, getting back to your main thing, Clay, um, we're definitely going to continue doing, catch wrestling events and stuff. So hopefully, in the beginning of the year, we can just continue, and we'll probably do that maybe shorter time limit, the 10-minute round. And but make sure you check out the what we did earlier. I think it was around like June, or no, I think it was springtime. So yeah, we'll try to keep on it. It's just that I think sometimes people who just focus on no gi, then they a lot of times I've seen them make tons of excuses to not do catch wrestling events. So, um, but I think it is important to continue even with the people who are game, right? Who are willing. Um, so yeah, we'll just continue. All right, so let's go ahead and play that clip again, and then maybe we'll see if we have a different perspective about it. So here's Dominyka at the UCLA Jiu-Jitsu Philosophy of Jiu-Jitsu Symposium.
The illusion of mastery is that there is a finish line at the end of the journey. That you will have contributed enough marbles to the jar of mastery to be called a true master. The truth of the matter is, mastery occurs in the continuity of practice and stops once the practice stops. In that way, mastery is alive and traveling alongside the master. Within the expanse of jiu-jitsu, mastery can only occur when elements arrive to disrupt the ease of practice. If we continue along a practice that is identifiable and predictable, there is no mastery to be found. Mastery ceases to exist when challenged.
When challenge disappears. Yeah, I really kind of based what I was saying earlier, where it's like even say I know some instructors they retire from competing, right? Um, but if they stay on top of the trends, I think that they can really help their students who want to be competing, right? So they can help them. And I think the main thing is that you don't follow trends, you don't follow what most people are doing so much, but you, because you'll always be chasing whatever is like the newest thing, and then you won't necessarily be able to provide your students with a strong, solid foundation. So, like I kind of mentioned, it'll probably be the topic of the next podcast where it's like other people are talking about how nogi and MMA are using a lot more like amateur wrestling techniques for defense and to get back up, to get back out from being pinned, right? Or being, if someone passes your guard, it's much easier to go to turtle and to get back to escape, right? So a lot of people are noticing that a lot, and so then some people are saying like, oh, no gi and MMA are turning into like catch wrestling, and so this so then my point is that as an instructor, you want to provide that foundation, right? So you want people to be knowing how, like the mat wrestling ultimately, as it put simply, it's just called mat wrestling. So all the stuff in jiu-jitsu that people would call turtle guard or whatever, it's all wrestling groundwork, right? So we call it mat wrestling. That's really what it is. So all these reversals, all these ways to get out from being pinned, even if someone's on your back, how to escape from that, how to get back on top, all the riding stuff. So like stuff that you can be, if you get on top, if you get on their back, you don't always have to be going for a rear naked choke or whatever. There's so many other things you can be doing. So if you provide that foundation to your students, then you can also be showing the students like these other trends so that they understand how people will be attacking them, and then they can like know what they can do, and then maybe you can even like you can provide them such a good foundation that they will know better, or they can even be flexible in how they counter these trends, right? So I think that's one of the things that um, you can be thinking about with regards to mastery, where it's like you can identify these trends. You can also help your students to like know how to identify these things and how to see it within the context of what you're teaching. So it's like we're speaking about like someone who's doing catch wrestling and doing entering no gi competition, then yeah, it's you can totally be doing catch wrestling. You don't have to then just pull guard or whatever if that's not what you want. Um, especially if you're more kind of like top down oriented. You don't have to just like all of a sudden go onto your back. It's not necessary. But the main thing with regards to what Dominyka was saying in the clip that I played for you, and of course she said in her talk was around 30 minutes long. So maybe we can try to find other clips. And like I said earlier, I really got to reach out to her. It's just um, it's just tough with the holidays. But yeah, since she's local, maybe we can try to do a live interview or something. So I'll try to work on that for everyone. But one of the main points that she states is the whole idea of if you stop, then the mastery stops. If you're not challenging yourself, then the mastery isn't there, right? If you're kind of just doing the easy way, then the mastery's not really going to be there with you. You're just doing the easy thing, and that doesn't really provide the stimulus, or it doesn't give you the kind of like how I was just talking about, where it's like, say if you have that good foundation and someone does something that like you really haven't seen or you're not so familiar with, like, can you adapt by using your foundation? That's also a part of mastery. So it's not just like how she says at the beginning about, like, is it enough? Did you put enough marbles in the jar? Like, did you show up to enough training sessions? Because yeah, there are some jujitsu schools that, like, you won't get promoted unless you attend a set number of classes. So I think that's also garbage. Um, so like someone might think, oh yeah, I attended enough classes. I'm a master. I should be a black belt or whatever. So that's all like subjective, right? So yeah, there's all kinds of things to talk about. There's all kinds of injustices with regards to the belt system, but ultimately thinking that you just put enough marbles in the jar, like the way Dominyka said, isn't always indicative of true mastery. So I think there's a few things that you can kind of take away. It's like, keep training, try to get a good foundation. I think also, like, don't chase the trends, right? So it's good to understand what's trendy, but they're like even using a lot of wrestling. I mean, you can keep people out of your from getting your legs or getting leg locked. Um, you can do a lot with the wrestling. People are noticing that, right? So like in MMA and the no-gi, especially like ADCC competition, people are giving their back, right? So helps you to escape, helps you to get back up onto your feet, especially in an MMA situation. That's very valuable. You definitely want to be on top. So you know, trying to have a good foundation is very, very important. That will help you to overcome these obstacles when you see something new, when you see something you haven't really seen recently, or like something that's like a newer trend. And if you're not familiar with it, you might seem weird, but if you have that good, strong foundation and you keep training, keep practicing, you know it very well, then you can overcome these surprises, right? And I think that's a indication of mastery, right? So keep at it regardless of age, because like the research, actually National Geographic did a lot of that research for the group of people we call centenarians, right? Like the people who live very long. A lot of times they just continue doing their activities, and if it includes a sport, they're still able to play it, even in older age. I had a student who was in his 70s. The guy moved very well. He was so strong. Even he never stopped like weightlifting, never stopped doing all the things he should be doing. So he's in his 70s. He can still wrestle. So it was awesome. It's awesome. So um, keep at it. Don't stop, especially if you enjoy it. Just go for it. Right. So with that being said, happy holidays to everyone. Happy New Year. If I don't see you around the next couple days, if you want to train with us, if you're ever in Los Angeles, the gym will be closed this Thursday because it's the holiday. But we'll be back at Fight Science the following week, and then A couple weeks after that, we'll be back at UCLA because their quarter is going to start right after that. So if you want to be training with us online, go to our website, catchwrestlingalliance.com, join the CWA Academy, or you can always get the one-off courses. I think I'm going to I already made an outline for the Pressure Pass Volume 3 video series, so that'll be a one-off one. You don't have to join the membership or anything like that. Or you can also become a member of our YouTube channel. I put a lot of different like videos. So it's like if you're a member and you ask me about certain techniques, usually make a video about it just for members. So that's through our YouTube channel. So feel free to join that. There are different tiers. So you can always support us there. So a lot of ways to support us, a lot of ways to train. Really thank you for your support and your appreciation, and we'll just keep going and be doing more catch wrestling events in the new year. So hopefully you'll be there with us. We're here to help you to wrestle better so that together we can keep real wrestling alive.